the family learned that Lincoln, Nebraska would take all of them.
I didn't know where Nebraska was, let alone Lincoln.
You could be in school longer. It seemed that you heard that people were good here, that they had lots of shoes, they had clothes, and so somehow that life was manageable.
Another brother and sister came to Nebraska later. Then the Cuban Missile Crisis struck.
It shall be the policy of this nation to regard any nuclear missile launched from Cuba against any nation in the Western Hemisphere as an attack.
It was 2 years before the Prentice family was reunited in Lincoln.
Every time we talked to them, they said, come at once. And we couldn't come, especially after the missiles crisis. So there was no way for us to get out of Cuba. And we didn't know if we would see them again. So the day that we came, that was the happiest day of our life.
It was wonderful to know that you belong again as a family.
Despite initial culture shock, the Prentice family successfully adjusted to Nebraska life together.
I have been able to study, get my doctorate, as my brothers have, all because of support, scholarships, and opportunities that we were given, and support all along the way, and wonderful people.
In the 1970s and 1980s, Nebraska saw an influx of Central American refugees. Jose Arturo Cotto gave up his medical practice in El Salvador in 1982 to reunite with his family in Nebraska.
Oh, and you know, it's not a good feeling when you are sitting at the table for dinner, 3 daughters, 1 boy, your wife, and you get the impression that someone is going to get into your house and is going to rape your kids or your wife.
When the danger became too great, Arturo's wife and children left for the United States, eventually settling in Dix, where his stepdaughter had lived as part of a student exchange program. Meanwhile, Arturo remained in El Salvador 2 more years until he was replaced in his job.
Somehow God is telling me, Arturo, it's time to go. And I did. And I don't regret that I did it. And I'm glad I came to Nebraska, because perhaps if I go to New York or I go to Chicago, those big cities, life will be much difficult.
Lacking English skills, Arturo could not practice medicine or find work as an administrator.
And finally I got some work to do, cleaning bean fields and driving a huge truck with wheat on the back and painting houses. My job today, I am a disease surveillance coordinator at the State Health and Human Services System.
Like so many immigrants who dream of returning to their homeland, Arturo visited El Salvador in 1997, only to discover that Nebraska had truly become his home now.
So I think we have been blessed in this country. Looking back, I say, well, thanks for everything that you have done for us. I appreciate that.
The 2000 census identified Latinos as Nebraska's largest ethnic minority group. Over 100,000 Latinos reside in Nebraska, in every county in the state. A majority of Nebraska's newest Latino people are employed in the meatpacking industry. Although the work is hard and long, the low cost of living, good schools, and safe neighborhoods are very appealing to young families. Some Latinos come directly to Nebraska from countries like Guatemala, Mexico, and El Salvador. But most move here from other states like California because they believe they have a better chance of realizing their dreams.
I came over here to be able to provide for my dad and my family the need of money. There's no money where I'm at. The country where I come from, there's nothing that I can provide for them. So here, at least I'm providing for my family.
Pues yo hasta ahorita,
I want to have a better life for my kids, and both of my kids are going to college now. The older ones are attending college right now, and for them it's so much easier here than what it was out there.
Pues yo en México,
where I grew up, there was no schooling. I taught myself how to read and write, and we had to ride horses for 2 hours to get to the town. What I know is I taught myself. I didn't have no schooling.
Bueno, lo que yo le doy gracias a Dios porque
I thank God for the opportunities and open doors He gives me.
este país nos abre
Thanks
las
to God,
puertas.
I became a citizen, and I want to have my children have the better life, the things that I didn't have in life, I want them to have.
Cuesta es encontrar los papeles.
Latinos still come to Nebraska from many states and countries for many reasons. Most have not been forced out of their previous homes. They come by choice. Some come for better economic opportunities. Some come for education. Some have been recruited by business for their skills. The growing Latino population has been accompanied by growing political and economic presence in the state.
You have to change. Learning the language is key for me. Otherwise, how can you express your feelings or your needs?
We are extremely thankful to the United States, to the people of Lincoln, Nebraska, because we only received help.
All my kids, they all had college.
We have radio stations in Omaha, Lincoln, Grand Island, Scottsbluff, radio stations. So you have business owners. We're beginning to see a trickle of people who are now running for office. We have Ray Aguilar, a Chicano from Grand Island, who's a state legislator.
I love my traditions, and I love the United States, and that's something that I have always taught my children, to be proud of who they are, be proud of their country, their heritage.
Se alegra cielito